Hey, thank you so much for joining me on this live stream. We made it to yet another week. Happy Wednesday. I hope everyone is doing well and healthy, feeling good. That's the biggest blessing at all, is just feeling good and have a good bill of health. So I just pray that for you all. And let's see what else we have. Let me change my little square here. I can do that. Let's see. Nope, that's not what I wanted to do. Let's see. I come here. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Little oval. Perfect. Okay, so let's see who we have here today. We have Mr. Steve Leahy all the way from Ohio. How are you, my friend? Great to see you. We have Colette all the way from Wisconsin. Wonderful to see you, Colette. And we have Patty from Illinois. How's it going, Patty? Always wonderful to see you. I got an itchy nose. I don't know why. Then we got Mr. Dwayne San Luis Obispo. Go Mustangs, not banana slugs. Always a pleasure. How did the Mustangs do this week? Did they win in college football, sir? I don't know if you follow them, but pretty cool name for a school, though, right? The Mustang. Can't go wrong with Mustangs. So that is neat. So we're in part 3 of this painting. Let me just make sure that she is in focus. Yes, she is. And now I'll just go back to manual. So, let's see. Very, very cool. Okay, so what I've been doing is I've been using my India ink, my detail mixture, and I just basically am re-establishing the darks here just a little bit, nothing too big, but just bringing back my drawing. You always got to bring back the drawing. You never want to lose the drawing. And why am I doing it with the India inks? Because nothing gives you control like my India inks. And so I'm just going to just get back to some of the tight detail I had earlier, so that's really good. And let's see here. Maybe I should go just a little darker on her. There we go. All right. So I'm just re-establishing my drawing in her iris here, and then we'll do the same on her other eye. Thing is, you want to make sure you get that ellipse correct and the size of the iris. That's really crucial. Now, why am I not going too dark inside the iris is that I want to maintain the ability to glaze, so I don't want to go too dark. You go too dark, a glaze doesn't work. A glaze only works on top of a lighter color. So even though her eyes are dark, for me to put those values in, I have to make sure that it's lighter than the value I'm going to apply in transparent. So Mr. Roy, where is Mr. Roy? I don't see color graphics. Oh, there you are, Mr. Roy. How's it going, sir? All the way from Jersey. How are you, my friend? Good to see you. And the detail mixture is straight from my bottle. They work amazing with the Createx. It's like the best 1-2 punch out there. Believe me, you want to be able to do something that's going to be very transparent and be able to have great detail, and then come back in with the Createx for that wonderful color and the wonderful blending. So it's a great 1-2 punch, definitely. So what I'm doing now is I'm going to be setting up for coming back in with my orange and white mixture to start molding and lightening those forms, and then coming back over with some of the opaques and just continue that, and some of the opaques, some of the transparents, and just continue that as we go. Now what I can do is I do have a freehand shield here, and I'm just going to see where I could use this to my advantage. Well, I don't want to be using the inks for anything but reestablishing the drawing, so I don't really need to do anything down in here, not just yet, because I do want to do some glazing, so I'm going to have to come in with that orange and white mixture and then go over it with the transparents, just like a stained glass window. If you look at stained glass and it's at night, it's not going to show up because what's behind it is darker than the colors that are in the stained glass. But when it's a bright sunny day, those colors just pop because what's under it is lighter. That's exactly how glazes work. So that is very important. And glazes only work when you're doing it on top of dry pigment, right? So you can't do a glaze when it's wet. That's impossible. Mr. Michael McClung, all the way from Maryland. How are you, sir? Great to see you. So glad you're here, my friend. Thank you so much for hanging out here on a Wednesday. I appreciate it. It is currently, it says it's 80 degrees, but it feels like 97. It's been really a rough week as far as temperature goes here, but we're making it, right? We're making it, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to keep going until we can't anymore. So I'm going to be working on her face. I'm going to lighten her face a little bit, and so I'm going to cover her dress right here. It's great to be able to mask off to keep things nice and clean. So I just want to thank God for the ability to have this live stream, and you know, without Him, none of this is possible. None of it. So I always want to thank Him during every live stream. So one of the things is when you do use these magnets, you don't want it to become a stencil, right? You just don't want that to happen. Wow, you guys hit 100 in Maryland? That's absurd. Cody, how are you, my friend? Great to see you. Cody, where are you from, may I ask? I know, but I just need a refresher. What part of the U.S. are you from, Cody? Would love to always make sure that I make sure that the name and where you're from, because you guys and girls are important to me. So very cool. Nice to see you. South Florida, so cool. I lived in Florida about 7-8 years in Kissimmee, Central Florida. So I worked in Orlando, so it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it a lot. So what we're going to do, I just went ahead to reestablish some of the darks. Maybe I could work on this particular spot right here. Oh, the confidence that you have when you have these inks is just incredible. Really is. Okay, so let's see. Now, we're going to get this here. Remember how I do it, right? As I take my white, I'm running out of detail white, so we're going to use detail flat opaque white, and that works just fine. Shake that up, and what I like to do is just coat this bottom here, right? That's important. And as you can see, I'm coating the bottom here, just coating the bottom, just like so. That's part of my measurement, right? And then once that's done, I'm going to take some of my 4011 reducer, and I'm going to do a 1-to-1. And if you do this, you're going to be okay. Now, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take my Wicked Orange, and I'm going to put 2 drops in there. One, two. And I'm going to take my palette knife, my plastic palette knife that I like using so much. And we're going to mix this. Make sure there's no hair on there. Let's see how this goes. I might have went a little crazy with the... No, I just think it's okay. The opaque's a little bit thicker, so the 4011 was kind of sitting on top of that. I'm going to mix this really well. When you have these like Walmart cups, mix this way around the circumference, because if you go back and forth, it's going to splash. So you don't want to do that, and you don't do it over the painting. This is just for illustrative purposes. So that's important. Okay, so now I have, it's nice and thin, like I want to be. Okay, so put this like that. And I am going to put this through the strainer because that's just who I am. Alright, I'm going to take this, I'm going to put it through the strainer. There we go. And you can see there's these little orange little globs there. That's not good. And I'm going to go ahead and just clean out this strainer. I'll be right back. So pretty much whenever you remember is the best time to strain your paint, right? I don't think it's ever a bad idea. Bill Kennedy had a really good video, and he talked about you don't want to do it when you're working in flakes and stuff like that, because those little things are why you're doing it, right? Why you're using it. But for regular painting, it's always a good idea to strain your paints. And I always like to have a piece of paper similar to what I'm working on. And I'm just going to... Ooh, that's nice, isn't that? I'll show you. Look at the detail. So this is my customized Extreme Patriot 105. And originally made for the inks, but works amazing for Createx Wicked, Createx Illustration, works fantastic for Golden, which I use. So definitely, if you're looking for an airbrush that is different, that's going to really exceed your expectations, let me know and I will make one for you. So let's see. So right now, so what we're looking for is this to create white, and that's exactly what it's doing. So the orange is the secret. Here on the chin. Right here, the depressa anguli oris, this muscle that comes down. And that's where the likeness really is understanding the importance of anatomy. And And I'm just lightening it. So why am I lightening it? I'm lighting it. Oh, thank you, Patty. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. And oh, Patty says she needs to find the cap. Her room has a vortex or something. I know what you mean, definitely. So basically, I'm lighting things up, setting up, coming in with the transparents, right? Especially here on the tip of her nose here. So for me to come in with that kind of transparent color, I have to create the sunny day that's on the other side of that stained glass window. Think of it that way. Okay, so now I'm feeling pretty good about that. Maybe right here. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with what's happening there thus far. So let's see if we can come and start working on some of the light areas on her body. Because again, we have to set up for those transparent glazes. Transparent glaze is only as good as what's underneath it. And this is what the old masters did. This is what Caravaggio did. This is what Vermeer did. So we're doing something which is a very modern piece of art and tool, and using ancient techniques. Now here it's not as bright, but still we want to set that up, but we don't want to go overboard. Here's a sternocleidomastoid as it comes and attaches to the clavicle coming down here. And worry about tip dry, yes. So we're doing ancient techniques with modern 21st century problems, such as tip dry, right? And let's come over here. Okay, so blast of light here on her chromium process, and also on top of her deltoid. So let's address that. So now I'm painting the light without the color. And I did that with the underpainting, but now I'm setting up color in a different way. Coming down here on her arm. This is probably a job for our freehand shield. Okay. So remember, we're painting light and its effect on a three-dimensional surface, and our model for Persephone is our three-dimensional surface. Of course, she's much more than a three-dimensional surface. and see this blast of light. So let's concentrate on this blast of light here. Now, why is it a blast of light? Because it's facing the light most directly. It's almost like, you know, in radio, right? You know, why, you know, you get certain radio stations really clear because your radio antenna is facing the antenna of the radio station more directly. It gets more power. Same thing when you're painting in 3 dimensions. Whatever is facing the light most directly is going to get the most power. And also you have distance, right? Whatever is closest to the light is going to get the most power. So you have the angle and the proximity to the light source. Those are 2 things that are really important considerations when you're painting. Where is the hair? Is it on my freehand shield or is it on there? The beauties of having a kitty. Notice the freehand shield, right? The freehand shield and this shield here. It's like chess. You're setting yourself up for success, right? Each move is anticipating the next move. So make sure you set your pieces up so this way, you know, when it's time for you to execute, everything's in place. You don't want to do too much ad-libbing. Once in a while is good. Leave that for the plein air painters, you know? So did any of you go and go to Hobby Lobby and get some of those oil paints I told you about? That sale? It's unbelievable. I picked up some incredible paints that are going to last me for quite some time. Not really, because I paint like an obscene amount. But it will last me a while. Little bit here on the chromium process. Mr. Dwayne, thank you so much for the super chat, my friend. I really appreciate it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And you are continuing to support the channel, and I'm telling you, it really helps, especially during build time when I get that check from YouTube and it's like, okay, I could pay my heat or cooling this month. So thank you for that, sir. You know, I'm a full-time artist and I'm doing this, and you know, and you doing that helps me to realize that I'm on the right path, Dwayne. So thank you, and thank you for your friendship, and thank you for all your wonderful input on the channel. You know, your knowledge of Createx is invaluable. It really is amazing, and I value it so much. I'm gonna lighten this mid-tone area again because I'm going to be coming in with that transparent, but I'm not getting rid of the drawing, right? So I'm just setting up. That's basically it. And you know, you can see you know, the tip dry. It's pretty evident. Let's see if I can focus this. Put it next to something dark. I'll put it against this. So you can see that there is a lot of tip dry there. This is not a macro, but I just use my fingernails. And you can see I don't have fingernails, but you don't need them. You can just like go ahead and pull them, you know. Oh, thank you. It's my pleasure, sir. Dwayne, it's always my pleasure, and I'm just so glad I met you, sir. Okay, so we're just going to come here and just lighten that up just a little bit so we can come in with those transparents. Okay. Now this part of the under eyelid is quite light, right? So I may have to come in and lighten that up a tad, setting it up for the transparency. Let's see how my paint flow is. Still pretty good. No, everything's good. Okay. Always double checking. Alright, and right here, see how dark that is? I definitely can lighten that area up a bit. Put some life in there. Hey, Cheese Grits and NyQuil, how are you, my friend? That's a really cool name. And that is really funny. So Mr. Cheese or Miss Cheese Grits and NyQuil, could you tell me where you're from? So with a name like that, I'm thinking the South. I don't know. Because they love the grits down south. Oh man, is this Patrick from Massachusetts perhaps? Under an alias? Oh right, wonderful. That what an entrance, huh? That is really cool. So definitely you get the prize for originality and making an entrance. I'll tell you, that was great. Okay, so now what we're going to do is I'm going to take my Extreme Patriot Arrow, which has the India ink in it, mind you, and I'm going to clean this out. And I got to go get my water to clean this out, and we're going to start coming in and bringing some life in, and we're going to go from light to dark, not dark to light, right? So we're going to start bringing in some of these lights and just going dark with transparency. Okay, now let's see. So looking at this here, we're going to clean this guy out. Now we're going to a lighter color, so that means that we're going to clean this out, but I'm using the detail mixture. If you haven't used my Airbrush India inks, it will change the way that you look at yourself as far as your control. You will feel like $1 million when everything just flows perfectamente, right? So definitely. So you can get it at inkflingers.com, and I do have a couple of sets available. Put that here, and let's clean this out really nice. Okay, I think that's pretty good. We'll find out, you know, sometimes you clean it out and it just is not as clean as you want it to be, but that's just part of being human, right? Mr. Brad, how's it going? Great to see you. How are you all the way from Manitoba, Canada? Go Canucks and Canadians and Nordiques and Oilers and all those great hockey teams, the Flames, all those. So I'm all set and ready to go with that. So what do we do now? Oh man, Mr. Cheese Grits and NyQuil, thank you so much for the wonderful super chat. Thank you, Patrick. I really appreciate it. Patrick and I are working together on a new project, and I'm really excited. Patrick is also my student, very talented artist, although he says he's not an artist, but he is quite the artist and quite the chef, I must say. So Patrick, thank you so much for your friendship and your generosity and kindness, and it goes a long way on the financial, but also, you know, just knowing that I'm doing the right thing and having friends out there that care, That's the main thing. So thank you so much for that. You rock, my friend. And originally from Wisconsin, by the way. Great state of Wisconsin. Okay, so what's our next plan of attack? So we're going to start with the regular flesh color again, but we want to have some light to this, right? So I have my oils over here, and I just take this here, and then I'm just going to come, and I'm thinking, yeah, that's always a problem, right? I'm thinking I'm going to come in with some transparent burnt sienna, and I'm going to come in with some transparent. Oh, this is a good color. What color is this? Yes, this is Indian yellow. I'm just going to come in there, and I'm just going to put the tiniest bit of a transparent red. So I do like transparent orange. We're just going to see what that does. You know, why do I do that? Because it puts me in the right direction, right? That's all it does. It just sets me in the right direction. It's not necessarily going to go with that formula, but I've been painting in oil since I was 14 years old. So since 14, so you figure 10 years, right? So, you know, I think better as an oil painter. I think better, more clearly and concise and quicker. So that's why I do that. But whatever gets you to where you're going, as long as your color theory is on the money, you're going to be okay, right? Don't forget to hit the like button. Thanks, guys. Okay, so now I'm going to get another cup. All right, so what do we do with this? We're going to come in with that kind of fleshy color here. So I do like, although it starts out as an opaque, I do like it. So I believe it's over here. Where is it? Oh, here it is. Front and center, mind you. So I do love this detail flesh tone. Pick it up, guys. It's for Wicked, and it's a really nice, and it's a transparent because it's part of the detail line. So wonderful, wonderful thing to pick up. So if you go ahead and get one of these, you get free candy at the register. So I'm just going to put a little bit of this here. And then I'm going to come in with some 4011. And remember the Indian yellow. Indian yellow, that was pretty cool. So close to Indian yellow would be a little bit of raw sienna. Just a tad. And then a tad of burnt sienna in detail, which means that it is what? Transparent. That's right. Start out with a little bit, and then I'm going to mix this. And I'm digging it. I never used the word digging, but Harvey did. Harvey Dinnerstein, my mentor. So I studied for over 3 years in Harvey Dinnerstein's studio at the National Academy School of Fine Arts. Harvey Dinnerstein's work is in the collection of the Metropolitan Museum of Art, and of course the Butler Museum. He's considered one of the most important 20th century realistic painters, and I had the blessing of being able to be in his class and to know him and get to know him and have him affect my work in a very profound way. So I'm looking at this and I'm staring at this, and I may just put a little bit more of 4011. So during that time I was 19 years old and I was a hotshot artist, scholarship student everywhere I went, and I sought out Harvey because he had a lot to teach me. And did he have a lot to teach me? Let me tell you. He brought me down a peg every now and then, and I needed it because you feel your wild oats when you're young. And he would like sometimes yell at me for like a half hour. Mr. Brad, thank you, my friend, for the super chat. That is so amazing. You guys are just so great. I mean, really, really is a good shot in the arm. Thank you so much. And Brad is also one of my pupils, and he is with me many years now, and we are doing great things together, and it's just so amazing to work with you, Brad. And thank you for the opportunity to work with you. I just want to say thank you for that. I mean, I'm very honored to be able to work with you. To see you grow and to be around a talent like yourself, you make me a better artist. John Diekman, all the way from Wisconsin. How are you, my friend? How's life treating you? I know you're always working so hard. How's that going? I'm trying to keep these colors very transparent. So, I want to use white, I'm dying to use white, but I'm not going to. But I see how I got rid of the yellow a little bit because the raw sienna was a little bit too strong. I'm going to tempt fate and I'm going to not strain because, you know what? I'm living on the edge. Call me James Dean of the airbrush world. Okay, let's see. Now, we're going to always see how it looks on the same surface that you're working on. If you're working on wood, have a scrap piece of wood. If you're working on metal, have a scrap piece of metal, right? Really busy. Oh man, I'm so glad you're here though. Patty, thank you so much for hanging. It's so great to see you. You are amazing. Don't forget that. And so, oh man, yeah, so Mr. Patrick now works the day shift. So Patrick, thanks for the super chat, my friend. You are amazing. Looking forward to Saturday when we paint together. So that's cool. So that's very exciting. So now I have this color. And remember, this is our lightest color, right? So now you can see I'm more looking for closer color. Before, it was just kind of, I'll get there when I get there. Now I'm being a little more specific. Not Pacific, specific. Okay. Keep going there. There we go. Okay. But I'm really happy with what I mixed. So if you're an oil painter, give that a try. It's a really great technique. So why am I going from light to dark? Because when you go from light to dark, you're not getting blue shift, right? When I'm using this orange mixture, yeah, I'm protecting myself with the orange. But regular painting, you're going to have a hard time. I don't want you to have a hard time. So we're going from light to dark. That's why I have these live streams, because I don't want you to have a hard time. And you see, I could even have gotten a little more of that white mixture to set up this transparent. I could have went a little bit further, but that's not to say I can't come back in with that and, just repeat the process. Definitely a technique, and I just keep exploiting that technique over and over again, But this is a beautiful golden flesh color. that I'm putting in, and you know, it's always going to look a little rough in the early going. It has to. And I will come back, so I'm not worried about going over any of the detail I did. I can always go over that again, right? Always, always. See how it's a little hot here? I'll show you how it's a little hot, but that's easily fixed with my technique, and if you follow this, you'll kind of save you when it gets a little hot. I'm going to come back in with that orange mixture to chill that out and then go over it again. But right now I'm creating this very interesting stained glass appearance. I'm keeping my distance because I don't want it to get too hot, but it's just naturally going to happen. Their cute nose. The alar cartilage going into the upper lateral cartilage, going into the nasal bone, going into the glabella, going into the frontal bone. So staying a good distance. I'm just easing into the color, you know. There's no gangbusters here, just easing into that color. Where it is the really bright white, I can leave it, right? And where I kind of got a little hot, I just got a little impatient. It happens. Again, you see these darks? They're coming later, so we don't have to, we can chill out about that. Keep my distance probably around 5 to 6 inches, right? And Brad says, all those little details add up so well to give a spectacular result in the end. It really does, Brad. You know, it's like when we stick with it. You know, I just finished a painting I sold, and I wanted to abort it. I wanted to throw it out. I almost did, but I stuck with it, and I sold it for the second highest price of the year. So stick with it. You know, don't let your emotions get the best of you. Stick with it. It's gonna work out. But you know, you just have to. You have to let it cook, right? I'm not going to bake some bread and after an hour I'm going to taste it and say, this is really terrible, and throw it out. No, I'm going to let it bake, and we're going to see what happens, and then we'll make our decision. So, and also let your collectors make the decision. Let your audience make the decision. Quick little thing about what Andy Warhol said. He said, don't worry about making good art or worrying about whether art is good or not. Create the artwork. While other people are deciding whether they like it or not, create more work. And that's exactly how you should do. Just keep creating, keep going, keep building on you know, your last painting, its successes, its failures, things you wish you did, and it'll come together. Let's make sure that paint's coming out of here. You know, I was kind of like a little nervous when I first created the Extreme Patriot Arrow, and you know, I did incredible detail with the Extreme Patriot Arrow and the Airbrush India inks because it just worked so well. But I was really afraid that it wouldn't take the Createx or the Golden. But I'm really happy, and I stand by is that same beautiful control. And having that 0.30 really keeps you from getting a lot of clogs. You're going to get some clogs. Mr. Mike, thank you so much, my friend. That is so cool. From Maryland, Mike, I really appreciate you. And like I said, your friendship is really important. This is my live stream. I don't think about, you know, students, whatever. I think about friends, and I think about, you know, I hope I'm giving you guys and girls, you know, something of value. and that's going to keep me on the right track. And you guys doing that really keeps me on the right track. And thank you, Michael, for that. I really appreciate you. This is just very encouraging. You guys are really, really making me feel good today. Thank you. Now, what's interesting, when we are doing the underpainting, a lot of times the gray that's created, we can pretty much leave it, because a lot of those in-between colors where it's not in the light, it's not in the dark, it's sort of gray because it's not getting the color from the reflected light, nor is it getting color from the main light source, and then you have this gray. So it really works out. So that's really cool. And what I'm going to do, since I have this, we're going to move down her body. But guys and girls, get this, Detail Flesh Tone 0073 by Createx Wicked. It feels like working with oil paints. It really does. I mean, so I worked in pastel with a student today. Last night I worked in oils with another student, and now I'm doing airbrush. There's no difference. And you know, when you kind of have that ability, that dialogue, you can move back and forth. And I want to be able to show you all, like, to try the different mediums, you know, see if you fall in love with it. You just may. It's not going to take away from your airbrushing or anything, but it might add new dimension to it, and that's really wild. So again, I'm about 6 inches away, and thank you again, Mr. Mike. That is fantastic. Thank you, sir. So here it's much lighter. So how do I do that? And how do I get that gradation from more of a saturated color here to almost, not white, but very nice light flesh color, is I increase my distance. The inverse square law. You know, the inverse square law, which is the law that pretty much governs how strong the light source is as it gets further and further away from the subject to the light source, and it's a mathematical equation. That mathematical equation is the same exact equation with airbrush. So when I'm at, let's say, 2 inches, and then I go from 2 inches to 3 inches, not going to be much of a difference. Actually, it is going to be a bigger difference from 2 inches to 3 inches. But from up here, 7 inches to 8 inches, the distance is not as strong. So when we're close, we make a big difference from light and dark. But when we're further away, like 7 inches, if we go 7 inches to 8 inches, it's going to be such a slight difference that you're going to get a beautiful gradation. So let's say if you're moving over into this area, you can go 7, 8, 9, and you're just going to get the most beautiful gradation that you could never achieve if you were at a closer distance, because of the inverse square law. So the distance at 1 inch to 2 inches, that's going to be a huge difference in how strong that ink is, or that paint is. But from 7 to 8 or 9 to 10, it's very, very slight. So keep that in mind when you want to go ahead and employ beautiful gradations. Notice when I'm going into detail, I'm really close, right? Inverse square law. Over here, when I'm going for a wonderful gradation, the inverse square law. See, whenever we pick up a medium, we're always bringing where we came from. And I think Steve Leahy mentioned that in one of his live streams, is that we always pick up where we came from. I have a strong science background, strong mathematical background. I bring that into my oil painting. I'm bringing that into my airbrush and how I teach it. My strong science background is my staunch platform and how I feel about anatomy and how important that is, and to know the names of the anatomy, because the names often explain exactly what it is, where it is, and so we're doing a disservice by not knowing the names. If you're going to If you're going to be a portrait painter, then definitely know the name. It's just going to help you. That's all there's to it. Now, is anything coming out? We're always going to check. Yes, and look at those fine lines we're getting. No spitting, no coughing. At least, not my airbrush. And Dwayne says he's been using Wicked in the custom arrow he got since day one. First thing wow, how do you feel about it? Do you feel that it's up for the challenge, my friend? And I really, you know, the good, bad, and the ugly, Dwayne, definitely, because I respect your opinion and your experience so much. Now I'm going to come in and bring in this flesh tone a little bit into the midtones here. I don't have to worry about blue shift at this stage, I don't think. I test it. I test the waters, right? If I test the waters and I'm seeing that, okay, you know, I'm not getting blue shift, then I'm okay. So you just kind of test it. So right here with this cast shadow, I'm just going to come in with this because I want, it's bringing some luminosity in there, you know, and then I can come in with a little darker color, so that's cool. And so again, that whole thinking of stained glass, right? That's our thinking, stained glass, stained glass. Now if I'm too close, then I'm going to get too hot because remember the inverse square law, it's too powerful. But if I come from, let's say, 6 inches, it's much better. And I can build, right? I can build that value from 6 inches. I get exactly what I want. Not like, oh my God, I got too much, right? And always check, you know, it's so subtle from 7 inches. I just want to make sure that I got it. There we go. So now I'm coming in and hitting that malar fat, right? Now I can come in and kind of attack the lower eyelid. And of course I'm setting up for the darker darks there, but it's really coming together. Works great. It can be a little more finicky with the Wickeds than some other brushes, but spray's awesome. Thank you. Yeah, you know, so that's a great point of view. So you find that, you know, since it's geared for detail, it wants to be a detailed airbrush. Would you say that? So that's great insight. What do you like using, Dwayne, when you want something like a larger size without going to an actual gun? What would you suggest, sir? I'm thinking of fitting this guy with a 0.5 and seeing what that does, you know, for the larger areas. But thank you so much for that great insight. And again, you know, a truthful assessment, right? He says that it can be finicky, which is important, you know? And that helps me and helps me to think, okay, what can I do to kind of, you know, maybe make it better. So thank you, sir. Friends tell you how it is, not necessarily what you want to hear. And that's important. Really liking this, right? And then I could come back with the white and kind of keep working that back and forth, you know, until I get it the way I want it. And then eventually, just like in oils, just like in pastel, just like in anything, my Airbrush India inks, eventually you come and you hit this kind of beautiful surface quality, and then you're like, okay, we're there. So this one is not the one I wanted you to get as far as the flesh. This one, the 0073. This is the one I love. So, and then this one I haven't tried yet. This is a universal flesh tone. So that's interesting. I would try that. I haven't had use for it yet, but I know it will come up. Dwayne says he used everything from an Eclipse with a .5 tip to the Patriot Arrow to the Pache Talon. Oh wow. I always loved the way the Talon looked, right? It just looks like a really cool airbrush, like something I would have loved growing up. Like, I got the Talon, you know? It's just a great name and everything. I love it. I love the design and everything. Alright, so now we have that. And where it got a little too hot, I'm going to come back with my white mixture. And let me shake it up and down a little bit. I know I shouldn't do that, but I'm doing it. Sometimes I do what I shouldn't do. And let's see. So now I'm going to kind of go over where it went too hot. Just kind of cool it down a little bit. And where I came a little too dark, I'm loving this back and forth. It really feels like oil painting, guys. It really does. And I do recommend trying it, this kind of back and forth thing I'm doing here. I'm going right over the lips, right? Because I'm going to go over it with some transparency. As long as I don't get rid of it, and I have that kind of ghostly detail, I'm in good shape. See, I'm pulling back the lights over at the nasolabial fold. Her nasolabial fold, not the nasal. That sounds too impersonal. Her is better. Hers. I like that. When painting portraits, I always like to make sure that I'm keeping the humanity, right? The humanity is so important, and so I always stress that with myself, that I don't start looking at my model as if they're just this mechanical thing, and that weakens it, right? So I like to think that my portraits have life in them, and you know, a sense of the person who is posing. Okay, so you see I'm getting rid of the hot parts. You don't want to leave it there. Well, this white brush is getting ready to get a little spot treatment. Let's see, Mr. Dwayne says, so Steve says, nice, Michael, very cool. Dwayne says, so his son got him a Talon last Christmas, and he just kind of started, so you just kind of started using it all the time. I reach for it before my bigger tip brushes. That's really cool. So it got a really bad rap in the beginning, right? Why do you think that? I didn't like that it got a very bad rap. I wasn't sure what exactly was happening with that bad rap. Let me lower this air pressure just a tad. And the depressor anguli oris. Depressor, pulling down, angle, anguli, oris, mouth. So the muscle that pulls down at an angle is the depressor anguli oris. it took a bit to break it in, was kind of sticky at first. Yeah, you know, that's true. Sometimes that does happen. So with this airbrush, which is my Vega 1000, first I hated it. And then I just stuck with it and, you know, gave it a specific job. And now it's like great. I love it for backgrounds and larger areas. And so, yeah, I know how you feel. Definitely. So notice that I want it soft, so I'm going to make sure I increase my distance. So if I want it just a little bit lighter, I'm going to be like 8 inches away. If I want it really light, then I'm going to be like 2 inches away. And again, I'm going to come back in with that flesh color again and just keep working back and forth until I get it. So right now that's pretty good. I think we could probably lighten the glabella a little bit. That's the space from the frontal bone just before the nasal bone. It's an indentation, and I think the glabella can be a little bit lighter. So I'm going to set that up for the flesh color, just so, you know, because she does have a beautiful indentation, but it's not like totally profound, so that's good. So now I'm happy with that, and I think that's pretty good. Here, maybe we can, but that's to be determined. Maybe I'll lighten this area up just a little bit before I come in with the next dark color. Okay, so now we have this color and we love it. We're happy, right? And then we have this color. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean this out because it's very close to this, the next value. So let's clean this out first. And I should put like elevator music on or something like that. Remember when we were kids when the television station would have operating difficulties and it would have the music and say, you know, please stand by. Okay. So let's see. Steve says, I think that is it. We get a brush and expect to do a job it maybe wasn't built for. It isn't until we figure out that the brush finds its home on the rack. Yes, exactly. So finding the need for that airbrush, you know, like you're not going to ask a second baseman necessarily to bat cleanup, right? He's there for defense. So definitely, that's a great point, Mr. Steve. Thank you for that, sir. Michael says he's going to have to use a spa day this Saturday coming up for his airbrushes. Oh, yeah, I love that video by Steve about this spa day that he has for his airbrushes. Very cool. And Dwayne says he will usually have 2 or more airbrushes in colors when doing the background on a bigger piece. He tends to get a lot of brushes and paint. A lot of brushes. Oh wow, definitely. So you have several airbrushes going. I used to do the Dree airbrush thing, and but I find that, you know, for my own mind, to keep my mind on track, 2 airbrushes is more than enough for someone like me. Got an itchy nose. Okay, so this is the first cleanup of this. Now, I didn't have any problems, so I'm not going to give it a real deep cleaning until it starts messing up. And then I'll stop painting and give it a deep cleaning. And that's just, you know, what's really been working for me. Because the paint is inside the nozzle. It's not on the outside. So anything you do on the outside is just not going to do it. And when you're working something like this, but notice we're working in transparent. So transparents definitely do not clog like opaques. But now this airbrush, the Patriot 105, there you go, right? That you definitely are going to have to give that a good cleaning pretty soon. And it might be in the middle of our painting session. But that's okay. As long as it's working in tip-top shape, that's all that matters. Okay, so now we go to the next value. So that next value is a red. And it's kind of a deep red. So I'm going to start with the value, right? So let's see. Brad says, that is great info, thanks. I still haven't put any paint in the micron. Oh, cool. Yeah, no. Definitely with the micron, you want to start out with thinner paints, get the use of it, start out with transparent. Stay away from white for a while, but definitely just figure out how it's how it uses and everything. You start out with working with the white mixture, it's just gonna kick your butt. So ease into it, like how to adjust that MAC valve and all that stuff, the air pressure you're going to need, everything. That 0.18 is something you're gonna have to baby a little bit. Okay, so starting out with red, so going to my oil paints, I'm looking at that. If I was to, let's see, so I'm going to go with kind of a nice carmine kind of color. I know we have that with the Wicked. So I know I'm going with carmine. And then I'm going to go with the that transparent red iron oxide. Kind of mix those two together. And now you have this powerful color, Kapow! Now we got to calm that down. We're going to calm that down with a transparent. So let's do just a little bit of this ultramarine. And on my painting palette, ultramarine is a nice transparent. Now I do have sap green, and I just got sap green not too long ago, and I fell in love with it. So let's put a little bit of our sap green. Your friend and mine. Sap green really does calm everything down. Yeah, I love it. So that's the game plan. So we're going to start out with we got Wicked Brown, which is good. We have Detailed Burnt Orange. We have Burnt Sienna. Now, Burnt Sienna and Red Iron Oxide are very similar. But I'm going to see if we do have a red iron oxide. I think I remember seeing that when I was a kid. Let's see. Back when I was a kid, when Createx had just two colors. It was green and red. Only came out in Christmas. Okay, so I'm just going to come over here. And let's see. Here we go. I wasn't crazy after all. Red iron oxide. So, interesting. I don't think I opened it up yet. I might have. Steve, have a great night, my friend. Take care and don't work too hard, alright? And thanks so much for hanging out tonight. I really appreciate you. Thank you, sir. Oh, Michael says he keeps forgetting which one is the best gun. And Dwayne says, one reason I have a large quiver of brushes. That's so cool. Yes. That is, for the most part, I have my two, the Extreme Patriot Arrow and Extreme Patriot 105. But I do have the occasion to do something a little bit different. So here is a couple of drops of my... I put the wrong color in there, guys. I put Detail Burnt Umber. Well, in my not paying attention, I might have made it might be a good mistake, like putting, chocolate in my peanut butter. Let's see. I'm going to leave it. Ooh, it's kind of gooey. Okay, so I'm going to I'm going to 4011 this, 1-to-1. That's a new verb, 4011. I'm 4011ing it. Okay, so I 4011 that. Now, so 4011 it is basically a new verb that means 1-to-1 of any paint. So make sure you 4011 it. Okay, so now we're going to come in with that carmine color, remember? And that was right here, carmine. Well, actually, this is crimson. Carmine's a little bit different. That's scarlet. And this is wicked red. And I think it's over here. Here it is. Detailed carmine. Very interesting. In the wicked line, it looks like magenta to me. So I am going to go with crimson, which is going towards alizarin crimson. But if you ask me, it looks like it's more like a rose lake or rose madder, which is a transparent pigment. I'm just going to put a little bit in there. Just a little bit. And you know what I'm going to do? Since we want to keep everything the same, we're going to be adding some of the detail flesh tone, which is going to be cool. So now we're going for the next value, right? So we're setting up. It's like we're playing chess, right? We're playing somebody in chess and we're getting our pieces all set up so we could, you know, in the end game, we could devastate our opponent. And that's what we're trying to do. Okay, so we're going to 4011 it of the other stuff we put in. Now you might say, Tim, how do you go from one medium to the other? It's basically once you get everything down, right? Once you get to the point where you're understanding the light and dark and you're understanding, you know, anatomy and how light works and all of that stuff, it really is just, at that point, it's just learning the eccentricities of the particular medium. That's all it is. Now that's nice. See, that's beautiful color. It really is quite beautiful. It's a little high in saturation. So I'll show you another thing. It's not tricks. This is coming from my art school education. Now, the thing is, what isn't is my lack of organization at times. But believe it or not, in my chaos, there's order. Alright, so we're looking at this color, and I want to kill it just a little bit. So, let's pull this down. So if I'm looking here, it's like right around here, right? So I'm going to be using this to my complementary. And so it's right around here. So it's going to be a little tiny bit of a blue-green aqua. And you know what? Our friends at Createx made this color, which is blue-green. Those guys are great. So they knew exactly what I needed. Let me go ahead and put a drop in there. Did I use this color yet? I haven't. I have. Okay, we're going to do the Q-tip method, right? So let's do that Q-tip method. Let's see. I got to get the top. Okay, I have these tops here. So what I do is I'll just take this and I'll take my Wicked Detail Blue Green. I'm just going to do a drop. Pow, like that. Because a drop may be too much and then it just ruins everything. I don't want to ruin everything. just going to coat that, and then I'm just going to do a circular motion, and you see how it kind of kills the saturation a little bit, and that's what we want. We like the color, but we want to kill the saturation. But if I put a whole drop in, it may kill it completely. Now I can always come in with the sepia. Remember we did sepia with Sinead O'Connor, and it worked out really well. Yeah, see how that's really kind of chilling it out? So I might actually have a drop, but I kind of eased into it. See that? I eased into that. Okay. Now, again, this airbrush hasn't given me any trouble yet, and it's always a good idea to strain. I'm just not going to. Good idea? Why do that? Okay. Now where's my top? Oh, here it is. And you always want to clean your top because it's usually contaminated with another color. But remember, our other color was the lighter color, so that's no big deal. Going from a lighter color to a darker color, you're a little less cautious. Okay. Ooh, that was interesting. Let's see what's going on here. Okay, we are okay. I think it can be a little better. Mr. Dennis Baker, thank you so much, my friend, for this super chat. I really appreciate you all the way from Dallas, Texas. Thank you so much. You know, it really helps. Such a big deal, sir. You know, it just lets me know that you guys approve of what I'm doing and everything like that. I'm always looking for, you know, ways to make the channel better, but your generosity and friendship, Dennis, really helped me. So thank you. I'm just so excited, and I can go into my Thursday and know that I'm on the right road. So thank you, my friend. That makes it just is a great help, you know, at the end of the month when I get the money from all your donations. It really helps me survive and just lets me know that, okay, we have another month, we can continue this. So thank you, my friend. Very generous. Okay, so now we're going to hit that mid-tone. We have the dark, but remember, we're going from light to dark. Now remember, we went from light to the orange and white mixture to this beautiful flesh tone with the kind of an Indian yellow kind of thing happening, and now we're coming here. And again, we're going to go back and forth using that orange mixture. And you know, this technique allows you to kind of, you know, when you paint, you don't have to figure out the equation right away. But right now, that color's like kind of right on the money. Let's see if I could show you. See, that color is pretty much on the money. And I'm not like trying to get it perfect because, you know, we have plenty of time. So I'm going to go into the dark with this color and come back out, so there's not a, you know, little border, right? We wanted to have that beautiful gradation. And going from this color, this color here into the darker colors, there's no blue shift. But just in case, we always want to have that kind of habit of going from light to dark, right? Always from light to dark in airbrush. You don't want to go from dark to light. Dark to light is what we do in oils if we want to, but I still work from light to dark. That's just who I am as a painter. Now I can darken the flesh tone that we put by just increasing my distance and slightly, ever so slightly glazing. This is a definition of glazing. You have to glaze over a dry, lighter color. It's just, that's it. There's no other way. If you're doing a darker color over, I mean, if you're putting a lighter color over a darker color, that's no longer glazing. That's more like a scumbling. And little by little, she's coming together, just like when we did the portrait of Sinead. And Michael says, can you use the illustration white with wicked color mixed together? You know, Dwayne is definitely the guy for that, yes. So, is there an advantage, Dwayne, of using staying within the wicked line? Or, you know, is there an advantage for staying in the wicked line as opposed to jumping back and forth from, let's say, the wicked to the illustration? So, love to hear your thoughts on that, sir. So as you can see, I am working very similar to how I work in oils. So that's very cool. So I'm not concentrating on the individual forms. I'm looking at the big forms of her face and her sternocleidomastoid and the shoulder area, all that. So I'm just even though I want to come in detail, I got to be careful I don't come too close because the color will get too hot. So I don't want the color to be too hot. So I'm going to maintain my distance. So that's why right now is not the time for detail. It's the time for working on color balance. Oh, just love the detail I just got in there. So that's cool. Dwayne says the illustration line doesn't stick as good, but doesn't really matter if you're not painting on outside stuff. It also doesn't have the same UV protection. So let's say you were working on, let's say, a mural that's out in the Florida sun. You wouldn't use illustration, right? Even if you mixed it with the colors, it would impede some of the you know, the hardness and the resistance to the sun and all that. It's great info. Thank you, sir. So remember before we did an underpainting, and part of doing an underpainting, you don't want to rely on the underpainting. You want the underpainting to be a guide, because you want to be working in color, not a series of grays or grays of the same value. Notice I'm introducing different colors, just as before, illustration, you know, bringing in blue and, you know, a lot of different colors to make sure that it's not monochromatic, it's a painting. So that's very important. And Brad says, Dwayne, you can put UV protection over the illustration paints after though, right? And that's a good point. That's a and then Dwayne says, even on stuff like helmets and tanks, he'll use the illustration, but add some of the 40/50 to make it stick better and gives UV protection. Wow, very cool. That's great info, sir. I'm going to take a bit of a water break here. This was good run. It's almost 11 o'clock, non-stop painting. Just got groceries today. Got water just in time. Like, oh my God, just in time. Okay. All right, so now we're getting somewhere here. Let's see. I am going to, let's start working on her body. Now remember, I don't want to go too hot, so I'm going to keep my distance. Probably about 6 inches. 25 psi. And so Dwayne says he'll switch to illustration colors at times when he's doing really detailed small stuff. Wow, very cool. So they are interchangeable, right? And Michael says yes, that 4050 is the bomb. It locks it down. Very cool. Great information, guys. Thank you. Let's come over here. So we have this cast shadow coming right over here. And then this dark color. And we're going to add some light to this shadow here. So when I'm doing oils, I'm painting mostly nudes, female and male. And by doing that, you really learn a lot about what skin does, the skin texture. Portraits just doesn't do it, but little consecutive dagger strokes to do that crease in her skin. So the underpainting is very important, but I also find that the underpainting is kind of changing for me. It's more of a guide. I'm not doing a complete underpainting. I'm kind of chilling out with the underpainting. So that's something that's happening now. So a little bit of an evolution in my underpaintings now that I'm working in color almost all the time. And Dwayne says all the Createx colors are interchangeable, and even use some of the the old school Createx, huh? Look at that stuff. Use it in the paint. That's so cool. Again, inverse square law, right? I want it nice and soft. So I'm going to be about 7 inches away. A lot of brushes don't go that far, but I live far away from when I'm working. And again, so where I had white was not good enough. Where I had gray, not good enough. That's why I'm infusing color. And I'll go back and forth and then start infusing some different colors like greens and raw siennas and stuff like that, which is going to be really cool. So many colors that are in flesh, right? So many. And now we're going to be setting up for... When I'm airbrushing, I try to stay away from any scratching. It's just my own thing. It's not a stance of what you should do. I just don't want to be scratching too much. I want it to be a last ditch effort. I will come in, since it's a fine art thing, with a little bit of colored pencil to get me some real tight areas. Now we're getting ready. We have another half hour. We're going to come in with the rich dark, and then things are really going to start kind of popping. So that's interesting. Michael says that's it. It wants you to use that 4050. You cannot erase. True, right? The 4050 does kind of hold that down a little bit. But I'm really loving the way that her skin is looking. It's all being set up, right? It's all setting up for the next stage. There we go. When I lift this up, you're going to see the dark next to it, but then I'm going to come in and things are going to start, once I start hitting those highlights. It's very similar to when I'm working in the India ink, right? I'm kind of living in the mid area, right? I'm kind of living in value between, let's say, value 3 and 6, right? Kind of living there. And then when I come in with the 2 and 1 and the 7 and 8, things really just come together. They fall into place. Hey Travis, great to see you, my friend. I love that picture you did. That woman's portrait in black and white. That was fantastic, sir. Way to go. And Mr. Travis is from Minnesota, so very cool. Got Minnesota in the house. And again, it's a little hot here. We're going to deal with that, right? You know, when you're painting with color, it's going to be a little hot. You don't leave it there. So that's why that orange mixture is so crucial, right? It's just so important. So we'll play with that. And we'll just keep moving back and forth. And let's see if I can put a top on this. And we'll put a top on this bad boy right here, although I'm going to have to mix it but I think I'm done with that color from the night. But it's good to have a target color for when I mix next time, which will probably be tomorrow, although I do have a couple of classes tomorrow. I think tomorrow's Thursday. I have one class and then I have to start, but I'm going to actually work on this because I'm really loving this painting, you know. Oh, okay. Brad says that YouTube hit my feed with an ad. That's something that I allowed to happen because if I didn't turn the ad on, then they would have put their ad on. So I do apologize, but it's sort of like either I turn the ad on and I get credit for it, or if I don't turn the ad on, it's still going to come on and they're going to get the credit. So sorry about the ads, guys. Hopefully you can just click away from that. So I appreciate the lookout, though. Thank you. And so, okay, darker color. Going back to my oil palette. So, just thinking, just looking and thinking, right? So, all right. So when I first look at that dark, I'm seeing raw umber, not burnt, maybe burnt umber and raw umber. That's what I'm seeing right off the bat. So, and I do have now a transparent burnt umber. Actually, it's a Van Dyke brown, and it's transparent. So remember, we're working in transparents, right? So why are we working in transparents? Because we have an opaque base. Right? So with an opaque base, we apply transparency on top. Vermeer is not wrong. He's not the only way to paint. You know, Rembrandt did more of a alla prima, so did John Singer Sargent, those cats. That's the great thing about painting. There's so many different ways to do it. Okay, so we have our dark, and then we're going to come in with that rich kind of carmine color. But carmine was more of a magenta-y color, so we're going to go with the, let's try the Wicked Red Iron Oxide. I think that might be a good combo. And so just love the transparents going over the opaques. So I'm neither a transparent or an opaque painter. I use all of them. So we're going to get our cups, and let's see if I missed anything. Let's see. So, uh, and Brad says, okay, didn't know if you knew about it. Thank you, sir, for the heads up. That's what I count on, is you guys giving me heads up like that. So always appreciate that, sir. So the first color we're going to get is this highly recommended. What's interesting, so let's look at these two colors together. This is just a quick pigment thing. So this color right here, the Wicked Red Iron Oxide, even though it doesn't say it, it's PR101 is the pigment for this color. And it's also, PR101 is also the pigment that's used for burnt sienna. But sometimes it's heated up a little bit longer, and the process of it. So this may be heated up longer and at higher temperatures than this. So even though it's the same pigment, it has different properties. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and do that. Mr. Todd, how are you, my friend, all the way from San Diego? I gotta go there one day. We gotta hang out. And so we'll put some of that, and I'm gonna do some burnt umber. Mr. Leahy loves burnt umber, as you guys know. So we're gonna put, it's a really dark color, but you know what, it's very similar to red iron oxide. So we're gonna turn it up a notch. We need a darker color. So let's go with your friend and mine, sepia. Where is sepia? If you were sepia, where would you be? Okay, detail sepia. Nope, I want to go a little bit darker. So, but I don't want to come in with, I don't want to gray it down. So we can go here, which is a purple color. That might be it. So this is detail violet, but let's see if we get a deeper violet, right? Because that might be nice. So I'm just over here looking for that color. Okay, so a lot of times when you want to lighten or darken a color, first thing we do is reach for white or black, but that's not what we want to do. So colors have values in themselves, so you could use color as something to darken it. Plus you keep a beautiful luminosity, and you don't kill a saturation. So I have this one as a really dark Wicked Violet. Look at the dark value of that. So color has value. Put a couple of drops in there, and we're going to 4011 it. Let's 4011 this. Remember, the lingo 4011 is to do it one-to-one with 4011. So that's 4011 it. Let's see. And again, you know, a lot of times when we do this, when we mix it, it's nice, but it's a little highly saturated, right? So sometimes, and again, you know, if we go ahead and just do a detail smoke, that's not really the answer, right? We want to stick with color as long as possible. Black is a very important color. I'm not one of those characters who say don't use black. No, black is great. You just don't want to overexploit it. So let me see if I missed anything. Ryan, how are you, my friend? Thank you so much. It's fantastic to see you. And Ryan, I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get where you're from. So I'm thinking right now, Ryan, you are okay. You're in upstate New York, Ryan, correct? Ryan, let me know if I'm right. I think I'm right. And Travis says color theory and mixing is definitely a weak link for him. But yeah, you know, there's a great book I want you to get. It's called Light for the Artist. get that book. I make all my students read that book, and it really will help you to see light. But explain it in a way that makes sense and not just, science mumbo jumbo. So okay, so we have this. It's just too powerful. So what I want to do is I want to chill it out. So we get our color wheel. And of course it's not going, and it's kind of this color right here, right? So it's a darker version. So I'm just going to add a darker version. So if we come straight back, again it's blue-green. So let's go ahead and do what we did before. And we had that blue-green. So you can see I'm working in the same family of colors, right? So things are kind of, it's good. You want a unified painting. So we are using the same family of colors. I'm going to put a couple of drops here. We're going to use our Q-tip method, and I'll show you guys who are just joining me. So I definitely want to get my hands on some illustration colors and some of the illustration colors, and I want to get my hand on the Wicked Opaque line. So those are two things that I'm kind of looking forward to. Okay, so we have this blue. Now this blue is not going to change the value because the values are very similar. Let me get rid of my logo. Well, not get rid of it. We'll just move it over here so you guys can see my mad scientist technique here. Now I'm keeping the value, right? Maybe it's just darkening the value, like maybe like 1/5 of a value or something, but it's really killing that color, but if I put one drop in, it might be too much. It might not, but I don't want to take that chance because then I would have to mix this all again, because I already 4011'd it, right? So now we'll come here, and I'm really happy with that, and I think that will be a very nice color going from our highlight to our lights to our midtones to our darks. So I'm feeling good about this, keeping my fingers crossed. Now we have to clean this airbrush again. So I got to get that elevator music for you guys when I'm doing this. And let me put this in my makeshift spray booth here. I got paper towels in there. Now going from a lighter color to a dark color, you don't have to be as diligent. If I was going from a darker color to a lighter color, yeah, that would be a little bit more caution, right? So, and let's see. Oh, Vancouver, man, right, wrong side of the continent. I'm gonna get it, Ryan. Thank you, my friend, for your patience. Dwayne says he mixes his own shading dark color with 4 parts sepia, 2 parts dark blue, and 2 parts purple, and he adjusts the ratio according to what I want in the end result. That's a great system, my friend. That is really good. So I'm definitely gonna take notes of that and try it myself. That sounds really great. So love that, Mr. Dwayne, he's in the field and everything, so the information I get from him is really amazing. That we get from him is really amazing and gracious. Thank you, sir. Okay, so we are going. You know what? This is looking like I may not get away with it. So we're gonna put some in here. So if it's kind of a little suspect. Oh, there it goes. It cleaned out pretty well. Okay, great. So now I'm going to put back the needle. Let's see if it'll get us home for the last 10 minutes. Okay, so this color is kind of hot, but we cooled it down with our blue-green, right? Thank you for Createx for supplying that. Wonderful. That wonderful compliment, right? It's really cool. Put that over there. Make sure we get our top. And so always test on whatever surface you're working on, right? You always want to test on it. It's very, very important. We'll put our Ink Flingers logo back. Not as dark as I want, but we can always go darker, but it is darker than what we have. So let's see. I love it. Now it's not as dark as I want to be, but I'm going to sacrifice it because I want some of this color saturation. I want my painting to have life in it, even more life than what's there, you know? And oh, Brad says, Tim, do you have spots left for your classes? Yes, definitely. So I do have a spot left right now, which is really cool because if someone wanted to study with me, they could either do a Wednesday or Thursday, any time of the day, or a Saturday night or a Sunday night. So I do have that available. If anyone's interested, definitely send me a message. So now we're coming in with this dark, and here's a good time to come in with our freehand shield. And sometimes your magnet's going to get in your way. It happens. I like doing perpendicular and not parallel. There we go. I can always go darker, right? I can always go lighter too because we have the orange mixture. But we may be a little hot, so we're just going to pay attention to that. But you can see how this darker color is really helping things along, which is really good. And I am going to make this, I don't know if it's going to make a difference in what you guys see. Okay, nope, I just see it differently on my screen, so it's clearer for me. Okay. Alright, so you can see how coming in with this darker value is really starting to make things turn towards the light and away from the light. Now I am coming closer because the dark areas are a little smaller, so I have to, with the dark in certain areas, be a little more careful. And I got a long way to go, so I'm not worried about whether detail is on the money or not. That's not important right now. And that's where the underpainting does shine, because I worried about the detail already. And once again, it's like getting those chess pieces set up. So a little bit darker here, so I'm going to increase my distance with the inverse square law. And let's see right here with the cast shadow of the wing of her nostril. Oh, so great question. Mr. Travis says, when did I start airbrushing? Around 2010. That's when I picked it up. And yeah, and I used to do it as underpaintings for my pastels, and then it just kind of took off, and you know, kind of fell in love with the medium, and still do the other medium. So I was an established oil painter and pastel painter before I ever picked up an airbrush, and so it really was a a big advantage, you know, already painting for many years before I picked up the airbrush. So what I find is that, yes, as learning the airbrush, as you know, it's not just learning the mechanics of the airbrush, but it's the learning to see, to paint what you see and kind of interpret that, right? Make sure that I'm getting a good spray in this. And I'm going to come in with an even darker color after this. And always do your 1 second rule, right? You want to make sure that you are looking for a second, then paint for a second. It's not the interval, it's just as you're going to paint for 3 seconds, make sure you look for 3 seconds. Keeps your head in the game. And also anatomy is a really important consideration. But even with this dark mixture, you could use it as a light mixture by using your distance. And always make sure you're getting proper flow. Have that scrap piece of paper, it's so important. Or scrap board, whatever you're working on. And let's say, so very cool. We're at 11:23. So far, so good. All right, so setting up this area here. That's a little hot, so I'm going to come in with the orange to calm that down. You'll see, you know, you'll tempt fate a little bit and get a little too dark, but that's where that orange and white mixture really works, you know. And so I'm going to make sure I just concentrate on the dark areas. I don't want to, just like using the detail mixture when you should be using the medium mixture. So make sure I don't get a little happy and start using the dark mixture where I should be using the medium mixture or the medium color, right? So same thing applies. But you know, you get too happy, see, right now I'm tempted to come in this dark and come in here. Not a good idea. That's the job for either the mid-tone or the light, right? Otherwise, if I come in, it'll be too hot and I'll have to go over it with an extra step with the orange mixture. So if I don't have to do that step, I won't do that step. Just bring this all the way down. Oh, so Mr. Todd says he haven't had time to airbrush. Oh man, so been working, right? 6 days straight. That will definitely do it. Wow. So I hope you get the airbrush soon, my friend. Again, I just want to make sure that I am not doing too much with this dark mixture. Because you know, you paint with whatever's in your brush, right? And you got to make sure you don't fall into that trap. But we do see that there's a really nice hard edge underneath her lip. So let's hit it. If your magnet's in the way, get it out of the way. go. And not bad, not bad. We're at 1126. And where else can we use with this dark mixture? Nope, this is a job for the light mixture. This is the light mixture here. So I'm going to kind of chill out there. I can come in with some orange here. But let's take one more look. We can come in with this dark right here. Right here. Ooh, this right here, this creek. There we go, we can hit that. And then this kind of shadow right there on the crease where her trapezius and sternocleidomastoid meet. And then right here, we can definitely darken this. And you can get that magnet out of the way. Oh wow, Ryan's working tomorrow. 19 straight days, Ryan? Holy cow. You guys are hard workers. I admire you. Okay, so you see how we're setting up, and we're not doing any erasing or anything. We're just painting. We're not afraid of the paint. We're attacking the paint, right? That's what we're doing. Air Todd says 19 straight days he would die. I'm sure Ryan feels that way sometimes, right? So this is pretty much, let's lift up and see what we have for today. But I think we got a lot done. I think so. Thank you guys for spending Wednesday night with me. I really appreciate you so much. Thank you for the super chats. They are just really exciting. This is a wonderful day. We'll take off this and this. So here we are. So we got a lot done, I have to say. So you know, maybe not as far as we want, but we're sculpting, right? So we're not only painters, but we're sculptors. Let me make sure she's in focus. Put her in focus. There we go. Okay. So there she is. So not bad, my friends. Ah, thank you, Ryan. I appreciate that. Dwayne says looking great. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate that. Brad says she's looking great. Thank you. Guys, I hope you have a most amazing weekend coming up. Stay safe. Just prayers you guys are going to be healthy and happy and joyous and all the great things, and blessing the works of your hands, and make a lot of money, guys, because we need it in this day and age, right? So Cody, thanks for hanging out, my friend. I'm so glad you made it. South Florida, way to go. And so thank you guys. I just want to give a special thanks to Dennis, to Michael, to Brad, to Cheese Grits and NyQuil, Patrick, and for Dwayne. Thank you guys. You're amazing. I hope you have a great week, and looking forward to hanging out with you next Wednesday. And take care, everybody. As soon as I find what button it is I have to press here. There we go. Take care, guys.